Yes. Know what I mean? You can still see yes. Everything. All right. Well, my name is Howard. I am the president and events coordinator here at the Antiquarian Society. Welcome you all. Thank you all for joining us so very much. And we're so very pleased to have South Jersey Ghost Research here with us today. They were here with us a couple months ago.
It's back in August.
Yeah, back in August. So they came and did an investigation here, and then they're going to give us a little bit of, tell us about what they found, tell us about what they do, and some of their other pieces of things they've worked on. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here, and we'll get started. Hi everybody, thanks for coming. I'm from South Jersey Ghost Research. We are that stayed around in the tri-state area. We do all of New Jersey, Eastern PA, Southern New York, Delaware. The whole area. We businesses like this, houses, private houses, and things like that. Get answered. So what you'll see today is we'll probably be setting up a video for you. It's about 20-25 minutes long. It basically tells you what we do. We got a little bit of past evidence that we've had. After that, we'll do a Q&A if anybody has questions. And then we'll show the evidence that we got here. So we'll go ahead and get started. If anybody has any questions, just make sure and save it for the end. All right, go ahead.
Dealing with unknown events occurring in your home may leave you feeling isolated or alone. Since 1955, South Jersey Ghost Research has been helping people living in haunted homes or working in haunted buildings. Our members come from all walks of life, and most of them have first-hand experience living with ghosts in their own homes. We understand exactly what it's like to live in a haunted house. We are professional paranormal researchers offering our assistance to people in New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and the New York City area. Our goal is to assist anyone who is nervous and afraid about activity in their home or simply curious about who the ghost may be. SJGR has been a pioneer in investigating historic haunted places. We were the first to investigate many famous places you now see on TV. SJGR is one of the few groups that uses the latest in scientific equipment together with psychic investigators. We use this to validate both the scientific and psychic information that we collect. We use all means at our disposal to assist those who contact us for help. Our goal is to help people who are experiencing problems with hauntings in their homes or businesses. Many of our members have lived in haunted homes, so we are intimately familiar with many of the issues and concerns people have. Our assistance is always completely free. SJGR is very active in our community. We help local groups and historical societies with fundraisers and lectures. We also volunteer our time to clean up local cemeteries and overgrown graveyards.
I'm Mandy with South Jersey Ghost Research. We're here at Mercer County Historic Cemetery in Trenton, New Jersey. We have a bunch of SJGR trainees out today. We're showing them how to do cemetery cleanup, how to restore fallen down headstones, which is what they're doing right now. We just have a simple upright headstone that was laying flat down there. So we're just gonna put it back in where it was and give this guy or girl its proper place in the cemetery.
We've conducted many photo experiments, so we will be able to identify such things as dust, cold breath, and hair. This helps us eliminate many false positive photos. Obtaining authentic full-bodied apparition photos is extremely rare, but in March 2008, SJGR combined digital photography with night vision optics and got some pretty remarkable results. This is a photo taken at the Burlington County Prison Museum. It shows the empty doorway at the top of the stairs to the second floor. The photo was taken using a digital camera mounted behind an infrared night vision scope. In this photo, you can clearly see the semi-transparent outline of the person standing in that same doorway. There are two unexplained elements to this photo. First, a streak of light that appears. There was no flash used, and the hallway was completely dark, so we cannot explain this. Also notice what appears to be a man standing now on the right side of the doorway. All three of these photos were taken consecutively, with less than 10 seconds in between each photo. This photo was taken in the Cooperstown Meeting House in Beverly, New Jersey. We used a different night vision scope and a different digital camera. The photo contains what appears to be someone in a hooded robe kneeling in one of the pews. This photo was taken in the locker room of a spa in Delaware. The apparition at the end of the hall is one of the most solid apparitions we've captured since we've started to use the infrared night vision scopes combined with the digital cameras. In 2010, we started taking advantage of full spectrum camera technology. Full spectrum cameras can take photos in the UV, infrared, and visible light spectrum simultaneously. These photos were taken at the historic Library Company of Burlington using a full spectrum camera with infrared illumination. They were taken within 3 seconds of each other. This next set of 3 photos were also taken at the Library Company of Burlington by another investigator 2 months later. They were taken using the same type of camera and in almost the same exact location as the previous set of photos. Here's another set of 3 photos taken with the full spectrum camera technology. In all of these sets of photos, there was no one standing or moving in front of the camera, and nothing was visible at the time the photo was taken. In addition to cameras, we use many other pieces of equipment. This is an example of a modern ghost researcher's toolbox. We use a variety of audio recorders to record spirit voices, known as electronic voice phenomena. Some of the newest pieces of equipment we are using are trigger props or energy detection devices, which allow us to communicate directly with the spirits. It allows the spirits to manipulate these objects in response to our questions. While SJGR spends most of its time helping people in private homes and businesses, we also like to investigate local legends and historic buildings. SJGR was invited up to Fort Ticonderoga in New York to be the first group ever to investigate its historic buildings and grounds. This area is known as the French Ovens, where many atrocities occurred. The stone walls actually kept changing temperature up and down by 10 or more degrees the entire time we were there, and we were not able to explain this. While investigating some of the trenches out on the battlefield, one team observed a horse and rider moving down one of the roads leading to the fort. 4 out of the 5 people observed this ghost rider that suddenly disappeared into the night. Numerous ghostly footsteps were heard by one team when they were out at one area of the battlefield that is dedicated to the Black Watch. Baby. 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 Red Bank Battlefield is located along the Delaware River in National Park, New Jersey. It was the location of the Battle of Red Bank in the American Revolution on October 22nd, 1777. Fort Mercer and its sister fort, Fort Mifflin in Pennsylvania, defended the river and prevented the British from using it for transportation. The fort successfully delayed the British, but in the end were both destroyed and abandoned.
Have red lights on, the lights are not. Like this one, it won't harm you. That's funny, down the
I'm just wondering, do you want us to close that basement door? Would you feel better if the basement door was closed? If you can make that blue light tell us yes. Okay, all right. We'll close the door. Okay, got glass down. Does that make you feel better? You feel better about that?
Or were you here when it was a hospital? Or were you here when it was a hospital? Or were you here when it was a hospital?
Is there somebody over there by that device? Because we found before that there must be a way that you can just make the sound alarm and not the colors. Now, so just so we're all clear, the green lights work. We know the red lights work because we saw it go on red before, and it just flashed blue. Did you all see that? Did you guys see that blue? So is somebody over there? Are you able to make a light go on? Make the red go on solid, make a blue light come on. Okay, well, I saw the flash of blue. Could you make a blue light stay on solid? Solid blue? I see you keep trying. Could you try to make that stay on, the blue light? Okay, well, I see you flashing that blue. Thank you.
Very, very much. Amen.
Built in 1840, the red brick mansion is not the only building on the site. There are several other buildings remaining from this 19th century mill village, which is set along the Rancocas Creek. Its most famous occupant and resident spirit is Hezekiah B. Smith, who purchased the property in 1865. SJGR conducted a 6-month-long investigation of the mansion complex. The buildings that we investigated included the mansion, the barn, the old schoolhouse, and the annex. The Smithville Mansion Complex is one of the most haunted sites we have ever investigated. Among the evidence that we collected were EVPs, infrared video clips of orbs in motion, and unexplainable EMF readings. Our motion sensors detected movement in areas and rooms that were completely empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Many psychic impressions were also obtained in the different buildings of Smithville. Sounds and smells and apparitions were seen, and one investigator heard a voice telling him to refer to the spirit in the room as Mr. Smith. Fort Mifflin was the site of a bloody Revolutionary War battle in November of 1777. It's known as the Fort that Saved America. It was also a POW and political prisoner camp during the Civil War. The fort also has a long documented history of hauntings. Hundreds of witnesses have seen apparitions of soldiers or the blacksmith. Many have heard voices or the screams of a woman believed to be Elizabeth Pratt. This map highlights the areas of activity we encountered during our investigations here. This is a rare photo of an apparition. It was taken in casemate number 5 at random during some attempts to record EVPs. The dark, faceless figure on the left-hand side of the photo matches the descriptions many people have given of one of the resident ghosts. This Ocean City landmark was built in 1923. Guests and employees have reported ghost activity in the hotel for many years. Hundreds of people have reported seeing the apparition of a young woman that has been named Emily by the staff. She has been seen in many areas, but most often in the Hall of Mirrors and the basement area known as the Catacombs. The descriptions of Emily were used by the artist who painted this portrait, which is on the wall just outside of the Hall of Mirrors.
Want to say goodbye? Want to say goodbye? Want to say goodbye?
This photo was taken in a ballroom just off the Hall of Mirrors, in which a motion sensor had detected movement in an empty part of the room. Gabriel Davies Tavern was built in 1756 and for many years served as an inn for boatmen who transported their products to Philadelphia via the nearby Big Timber Creek. There are also reports that it was used as a field hospital during the Revolutionary War. SJGR has been investigating the tavern since 1999. We've conducted numerous investigations as well as many fundraisers to help this wonderful historic location. The prison was built in 1811 and was designed by the famous architect Robert Mills. It is a large rectangle building made of stone and iron that looks more like a castle from the outside. It was used continuously as a jail until 1966. Since then, local legends spoke of the ghosts that inhabit the building. One in particular was the ghost of Joseph Plow, a convicted murderer who killed his mistress with a leg from a table. He was held in the death row cell, which consisted of an eye hook in the floor to which he was always chained. He was eventually hanged in the 1850s, but guards and prisoners still reported hearing his moans and chains rattling from that cell. The guards and inmates also reported seeing someone in the empty cell, as well as objects levitating in and near the cell. In 1999, the county began a restoration project transforming the rundown building into a museum and returning it to its original condition. As the work progressed, the construction workers began reporting strange events, such as loud noises, voices, and screams coming from various areas of the building. They also reported having their tools disappear when they turned their backs, only to find the missing items in another room or on another floor later on in the day. Eventually, some workers were leaving early so they would not be the last ones left in the building. The county officials decided to contact South Jersey Ghost Research to see if they could verify the claims of the workers and to put their minds at ease. We also experienced objects moving as well, as did 3 reporters from the New York Times that were with us. A stretcher that was located in the cell next to the death row cell relocated itself across the room, and it was actually the reporters who noticed this first. Some members of SJGR observed an apparition in one part of the building, and we also found a single bare footprint on a dust-covered floor of what was once the prison showers.
stand up. Stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up.
Does anybody have any questions? Any questions so far?
Have you ever gone to Centerton Inn? There are a lot of stories from there.
Centerton, where's that?
Right outside of Vineland. Centerton is the little town.
Oh, yeah.
It's an old, supposedly George Washington slept there, the whole thing.
Yeah.
People who work there have told us stories about things moving, falling, being.
Is that Hopkinton County?
Salem County. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah, Centerton is the little town, and it's a Centerton Inn.
okay.
They just redid the outside, which is a shame. They put in this siding on it, which ruins it. But anyway, the inside, I'm putting the inside of it. So.
We certainly take tips, so if you have any ideas, always looking. Anybody ask any questions? If you want, we can go on to the presentation we have for what we've got here. Do you want something?
From this one.
Is it more projection? Yeah. Okay.
This is broken up in parts. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's a good idea.
So I think my clips are first.
So there were several of us that came, as Mike said, back in August. So we came here to investigate. Actually, Val had reached out to us. So we came at nighttime. That's our preferred time of the day to come. I guess we were here for about 4 hours or so. And unfortunately, only 3 of the investigators that are here today. were able to make it today, so it'll just be the three of us presenting evidence, but the other people that were here certainly had their own evidence clips.
Suzanne, do I start this like the last one?
Yeah, so yeah, just start like that and to discuss the comments.
I'll just mention real quick, we've watched some of our equipment cases here on display, and of course you're welcome to come up and take a look at everything. This is a tripwire. I don't know if you guys watch any of the TV shows. A little bit more of the Kindred Spirits using it. If you happen to see a flash, you want to just say something real quick, certainly, but it is one of the pieces of equipment that we use here. And it seems to be active in a lot of our locations. Every once in a while, we have a slower building, but the difference from other equipment. This is the tripwire. This is 12 foot, and it also comes in 36 foot. And we've been very happy with it. And that's an EMF meter.
Each light is an individual EMF meter, actually.
When it flashes, is that it's sending something?
Yeah, different colors indicate different fluctuations in the electromagnetic field. So if it lights up blue, that is a 2 milligauss like change. If it's green, it's 4 milligauss. It depends on which color. It goes up to red, which is the highest, which I think is 22 milligauss.
Yeah, milligauss is the unit of measurement pretty much that they use for that. But EMF is basically emitted by most electronics, ceiling fans, TVs, everything like that. So you can get a reading off of them if you have the right equipment. But it's not normal to get like a pocket of it just stationary or moving throughout a space. So that's kind of what we're looking for when we're measuring
That's part of what we're doing when it comes to the music equipment. We'll also roll out.
Just wait till Maggie's done here.
Sources, anything electrical, microwaves, and all that. Things to rule that out is not being paranormal.
All right, Maggie, thank you for that intro. I'm going to switch to the next slide here. All right, and speaking of, this is a clip of the tripwire from the second floor.
Oh, I got that.
There we go.
Got that. I don't know what time that was though. Thanks, Gabe.
I will play that again.
Here, how about I do this?
Here. All right. Play that again.
So
Oh, I got that. Got that. I don't know what time that was though.
So it's kind of
Thanks,
what
Gabe.
that device will look like, that long string of lights there. When it activates, it'll make all those colors light up. We had that on a display case upstairs here, and we just lit up for no reason. We don't need that. Next.
Something in these cases belong to you? So can you light a light up over which case?
I want to play that one more time just so you can see that, because the entire, almost every light on that string, and that's the 36-foot tripwire, so there's 12 lights. It was placed on a case that is right above over here that stretches that entire area. Here it comes.
Oh, I got that.
See how every light lit up?
Got that. I don't know what time that was though. Thanks, Gabe.
Sometimes only a single light will light up, and sometimes the entire board will light up like that. That's a pretty significant change in the electromagnetic field there for sure.
Something in these cases belong to you? So can you light a light up over which case?
Okay.
So are you saying there's a ghost up there? Possibly.
Potentially, because there's nothing electric in that case. There's nothing in that case that should have caused that.
I mean,
That's
it could
what
be
I'm
also
saying.
be inconclusive in a sense. There's no reason why it should be, but there's not necessarily anything else that happened at the time that we can say 100% there was somebody there. But it was weird, and we can't explain it. So here we are.
During this night, I mean, we don't have video of all of them. There, you'll see more tripwire later, I believe. But I counted in my report 200 tripwire hits throughout the entire night. I mean, that's how often that was lighting up in areas that it should not have been lighting up. I'll play it one more time.
Oh, I got that. Got that. I don't know what time that was though. Thanks, kid. Something in these cases belong to you? So can you light a light up over which case?
Well, I didn't catch it. I mean, that's the one video clip that I caught because I was trying to catch it and I kept missing it. But that was the one time that I actually caught it. Let me go to the next one. All right, this is actually from in this room. We were actually sitting like right here, and we had a spirit box going, and
So we're going to go in and explain spirit box. So I brought mine as an older version, but basically what it is, it goes through radio frequencies, so it skips through automatically through all the previous things. And the idea is that students are able to communicate easier through it. It depends on who you're talking to, but you've gotten interesting results for trying to use it. And in this case, we actually got a name come through that was one of our investigators with us. And you'll hear it when you play it. All the little ticks in the background is a phone station. It goes through, I don't know, 10, 20 stations within a few seconds. So the fact that we get voices coming through it is a really good, because we should be really beginning. Gosh, you can hear it. So this is a slow. You can kind of hear it. This will be used a lot faster. But you can hear the radio stations going through it a slower pace in this one. You can get kind of an idea of what you're looking for. This is all one.
Michael just introduced us. Wow.
Yeah, what's
Thank you. So you were listening. Do you know do you remember anybody else's name here?
the significant thing was that it was me, Dave, and Katie, and we were sitting right here. So one of the investigators that was here is named Katie, and it actually said her name. I'll play it one more time. It's actually kind of low.
Michael just introduced us. Katie. Wow.
Yeah, what's
Thank you. So you were listening. Do you know any, do you remember anybody else's name here?
Was there any reason that you were called here in a particular event that happened that they would call you?
I called them over. There, you know, it's a building that is
us.
You're fine.
Michael Desare hates us.
And filled with history. And there have been numerous accounts of interesting things and unexplained things that have happened here over several years, and several different people have sort of reported things. So I did a little digging and found these guys, and I thought this could be interesting. So I reached out.
All right, so Roseanne, you're up.
Now, I'm trying to remember. This has been a while since I actually listened to it, but you can hear the words "go to sleep." I think it's through the ghost box as well. But just play it. See.
Oh, that's probably the original one. That's the original.
So yeah, and there was no ghost box happening at the time, so it's even better. I went through everybody that was with us in that investigation, and everybody denied it. So I don't know who that was. I'll play it again.
Oh, that's probably the original one. That's the original one.
Everybody heard it, right? So every EVP has they call it a class system. So there's class A, B, and C EVPs. C would be you can kind of hear what something's being said, but you don't really know what it is. Class B would be you could hear something being said, and you know you think you know what it's being said, but when somebody else hears it, they hear something else. And then class A would be there's no mistaking that that's what's being said. Kind of like the hello you heard in the other video, you know, the 100% that was a little girl saying hello. I think this would be a class A because nobody else disagrees on that's being said. So I find it pretty interesting. I'll play it one more time.
Oh, that's probably the original one. That's the original
one. Now this one, I'm unsure that the ghost box was playing at this time, so I'm unsure if this came through the ghost box or if this was an actual voice, like a voice that came through outside of it. But you'll hear a little girl that sounds like saying, "You promise?" So.
Getting shots for the carries. Yeah.
Did everybody hear that? Play it again. It's a little hard to hear with the ghost box.
Getting shots for the carries. Yeah.
I'm going to say that wasn't on the ghost box because nobody responded. Nobody said, "Oh, I heard a girl." Nobody said that. So I'll play it one more time.
Getting shots for the carries. Yeah.
Now this is pretty self-explanatory. There's a man that says hello, and it doesn't sound like any of the two guys that were with us. So. Nobody else says anything. Nobody says, "Oh, hi," you know, it's just hello. One more time. Lisa polite.
When these people said these things, did you hear it in real time? Okay, because I was gonna say, why did no one
Yeah, that's
respond?
part of it. Yeah, if we heard it, we would like, oh, what was that? You know,
Yeah.
that would be at that point that wouldn't be considered the EVP. That'd be a disembodied voice. And I love those because then you know when to look for it. You don't have to go searching for it. All right. This next video is some one of our periscopes going off. So Maggie, you want to explain where this was?
Hi everybody, I'm Maggie. Hopefully you can hear me through the mask. That's just been preference. Good one. Okay, so first floor, right in the back here, there's a long display case of glass ornaments. The periscope would have been on the floor. It's actually this one. This is mine that I use for the often.
This is what it looks like.
Well,
that's not.
Yeah, problem with the stuff. I don't know if that's okay.
So this actually measures trabostatic. So if you rub your shoes against the carpet and touch this, it's gonna light up all kinds of colors. And in a place where there shouldn't really be any, it's a little weird. People have said that spirits tend to give off that type of energy, so that's why we use it. And we can actually use this as a type of communication device, or maybe something to show that they have intelligence, saying, you know, can you point the color towards, you know, the door or towards a person, which we've done that before and it has worked. In this case, it's just lit up. Unnecessarily. So, oh, look at that.
And that happens. So this is actually the report from the
video. 943, periscope, first floor, in the glass room.
And the directions that the lights go is indicating which direction that
8.7 in the middle. Yeah.
Your periscope is the only one I know that makes noise like that.
No, it's cool.
But at least you know that it's lighting up if you're not in the room with it.
Doesn't always do that.
First video. 943, periscope, first floor, in the glass room. 68.7 in the middle. Yeah.
One more time.
Start the video. 943, periscope, first floor, in the glass room. 68.7 in the middle.
That's so fascinating. So I brought up my report with me. So what we do is we all do a report. We listen to all of our evidence, which can take a long time. And then we put it together into a formal report. So I brought mine with me just to make it easier to refresh my memory. So what we do is when we do these clips, you know, we're not going to have it more than, you know, maybe a minute or two at the most, unless there's maybe like a series of activity. But we try to have it at least a few seconds before an event happens, a few seconds afterwards. And then you can hear us giving the time of something occurring. Because then that's part of our documentation. It's pretty cool to watch it when it spins like that. And that had just
do you know the family, the Bertori family, the Taylor or the Closier? Hey. So it's 10:04.
What names were you looking for?
So there again, this is back in this room here, and there was a sign there, and try to make a connection with people. It's one of the things I like to do, and not just the, you know, what's your name or email, how old are you kind of thing. Although that's a certain part of it. So I was reading off the sign, and asking if anyone knew the tailor and clothier. And it's either said Fedrob with a D at the end or Y Fedrob or Fedroy family. And then through the all the answers there. And then that was the response on the trip line.
Do you know this family, the Fedroy family, the tailor or the clothier? Hey. So it's 10:04.
That's the one you have right here. Is that the same one? Same one. Yeah.
Do you know this family, the Fedroy family, the tailor or the clothier? Hey.
That's her multiple.
So it's 10:04.
They'll fluctuate with milligauss.
See how quickly it happens. So you really have to pay attention at the time when you review the evidence. Sometimes you have to slow it down a little.
I'm sure the others explained why we're here, but just in case. The ladies that work here, Val and Pat, they've been thinking.
You like her necklace, huh?
Yeah. I don't blame you. It's simple, but striking. So the ladies here think there's some things that can't be explained, that maybe somebody's here with them, hearing noises or things moving around. They're not sure what to think, so that's why we came in to help. Thank you. 11:05.
That is Maggie's necklace that they are
Thank you.
attempting to discover.
11:06. So you are certainly helping with answering the questions.
So usually we do shorter clips, but sometimes if you set a foundation of the questioning, maybe you can get a couple of things, like not, I think that was like a minute, 13 seconds, then our video clips might be a little bit longer. That's the Native American room up on the second floor. I have a newer particular interest in Native American history. And I'm wearing it. I bought a necklace. It's a arrowhead and it has an eagle on it. Because again, I like to make a connection, personal connection. So we use this as a trigger object. Those blue lights in the back. So there's a piece of equipment called an HTO, one of the trigger objects. And so you clip something to it. And then the idea is if there is something paranormal getting close to it or maybe even touching it. Usually what you see is the lights go on and off quickly. So it's like something in the mirror or touching it and then, moving back. In this case, a few different times, and this is just one clip where there was an extended period of the light staying on, which is pretty neat.
Play it again.
And small, so sorry.
I'm sure the others explained why we're here, but just in case. The ladies that work here, Val and Pat, they've been thinking.
You like her necklace, huh?
Yeah. I don't blame you. It's simple, but striking. So the ladies here think there's some things that can't be explained, that maybe somebody's here with them, hearing noises or things moving around. They're not sure what to think, so that's why we came in to help. Thank you. 11:05.
That is Maggie's necklace that they are
Thank you.
attempting to discover.
11:06. So you are certainly helping with answering the questions.
hear the periscope, I can add it.
Okay, I see you turning red. Thank you.
If you hear anything,
I'm going red again, 11:47. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Another red. Keep going all the way around because that's pretty cool, huh? Yellow. Another yellow. Green. Keep going, green. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Another green. Wow. Very cool, huh? Okay, I see you turning red. Thank you. I'm going red again, 11:47. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Another red. Keep going all the way around because that's pretty cool, huh? Yellow. Another yellow. Green. Keep going, green. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Another green. Wow. Very cool, huh? Okay.
3 minutes before that.
Another tripwire activation.
So Sharon and I were talking about liking trunks and seeing all the trunks throughout the building and the beautiful clocks. And. But tell us what's one of your favorite items. Oh, thank you. Actually, is that strip of weights one of your favorite items now? We're looking at the old stuff and you're looking at the new stuff. I wonder what's underneath. Yeah, so that's it. 12:20.
Yeah, I think you can see like the entire like chip is going from one to the next. It's nice.
Up in the attic, and there's a few different rooms up there. So at that far end, there was a small cradle. I was at the other end, so I wasn't sure which of these were being shown. But we were getting, different tips on the tripwire. This was towards the end of the night, and the next clip that I had recorded, we were getting to the end of the investigation. And a light had gone off on my end, and Candace, I think, at the end of this clip had commented, "Oh, I wonder what's under there." So the clip we're not showing, the light goes off, and I thought, "Oh, Candace's idea, what's under there?" So there was a box, and there's a plaque, and then the last name of Isaac, which is not Eisenhower, the president of Isaac. Hours on there, and as I'm reading it, another one of these tripwire sensors, at least one we two, goes off. So seemingly in response to my reading the name, so for it to be like right here where I was standing is pretty cool. Mike had mentioned the report and how many tripwire hits he had. I had about 50 of them. And then as far as the EVPs, because I was kind of surprised, but as Roseanne mentioned, we're looking for Class A EVP, so there's no dispute as to what you're hearing and anybody's hearing. So I had a few that would be B's or C's because we're not sure. Pretty cool when you get them. Love when you get those Class A's. But every once in a while, it's just something that we're just not sure, or not everybody agrees on what it is. I think that's it for me.
I think that's all we have.
Yes.
So I have a couple questions. The color on the periscope, does it change according to the strength that you're getting? Is that what makes the change in color go around, or the duration of the EMF that you're getting? Right.
Is that the same as the tripwire or the milligasm?
No,
No.
periscope is actually each individual prong is a specific color automatically. So
Okay.
it's not going to change based
So
on
there isn't like significance in the color you're getting, and
no, they tend to make a lot of these equipments different colors because they sell better. So a lot of pieces of equipment, and it's also good for communication. Can you light up red? Can you light up yellow? So it can make it a little easier if trying to find an intelligent response. The 360, but not this, but the one that went around in a circle, that one does static. So we've actually, like, I'd walk past it and then the lights would follow me because I would like static cling and I never realized it. So I had to step away from it.
Yeah, the direction that the lights are moving indicate the direction that the static field is moving. But the colors don't indicate like a strength in static.
Okay.
It's kind of like the same thing when, you know, like during the winter, like when you walk across the room and you touch a doorknob and you get shocked. That's static electricity. That is what that is picking up.
My other question is with the tripwire, or when you do your investigations, do you have them set up in multiple rooms at the same time, or do you travel from room to room? Like your equipment's in one room at this point, and then you move everything to the next room, or do you do things simultaneously and get hits all over the place at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, like we try to put the equipment out and we try to spread it out. It can be a little tough to kind of keep track of everything when you spread it out like that. But you know, it's just, you just have to try to catch it. Like I try to focus on, you know, just a couple pieces at a time. But sometimes in like a big location like this, you try to set out so much stuff and just try to catch it that sometimes you're like, your head is like on a swivel the entire night trying to see. Right. But like when you're in the darkness and those light up, it does kind of like, you know, it's clearly visible when they light up, especially if you're in complete darkness. So it does kind of give you out of your peripherals like an indication of what's, you know, going on. But like the tripwire sometimes happens so quickly that if you didn't catch it on video, you can't tell how many lit up. You just have to approximate it. But I had, I mean, approximately 200 tripwire hits that night.
I find that there was one that had a higher frequency of those things.
It was this entire building.
I think we had what, 4 or 5 of those set up.
Yeah.
The whole time. So we actually had 2 teams, 2 teams at any point within the building. So one team would be here, you know, another team would be upstairs. And each team would probably have 1 or 2 tripwire. We could split everything up, so everybody would just put them wherever they felt they needed to. I think there was one point where every single tripwire went off at the same time on both floors. Yeah. And if we had a camera going at that time, great.
That was sort of like specific time of the night that you like. It was at like 11:27.
Yeah, I know at least one, maybe 2 of mine. And we have an indicated one here. It was pretty fascinating where, and I don't know because I'm back there and I'm, you know, saying, oh, the tripwire went off, and they're saying, yeah, it also happened down here. That happened at least a couple times down here, and maybe on one of the upstairs. Probably, I would say more so the second floor because we were together up there. Down here.
Yeah, I think it was when there was a group down here and there was a group up there. They both went off. Like I forget how many it was. It was around 4. There was 2 upstairs, 2 down here. Yeah. They all went off simultaneously.
I did see them travel down the stairs, just saying. When you took a break and then I was out here, I come out, I was talking to Maggie, and out of the corner, they were on each step all the way down. Yeah. And then I saw it lit, like ding, 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 ding. And then I looked at you and I said, I don't know what that means, but something happened. And then we looked, and then it did it again. Ding, ding, ding. It like went. So I don't know what was happening there, but I was like, Maggie, something happened right in this area with these lights. That was cool.
Great question, certainly.
That's kind of a general question. There are a lot of people here, and I wonder, for me or from anyone who's had a specific place where you have felt something. You just walk into this place and you feel. One of my was walking over the Bridge of Sighs, and you walk into a room that's all spears and things. And I actually bent over my stomach, and my friend said, "What's wrong with you?" I don't know. It just was instantaneous. Well, looking at all those things. There have been other people, but I wonder if other people had things like that.
I know I've been to a lot of abandoned asylums and sanatoriums, hospitals, and things like that, and that they all definitely have specific vibes to them that you can't get anywhere else. And certainly depending, like this place has a lot of artifacts, so you can go into a room and feel the change as soon as you walk over that threshold. That happens. I think that happens a lot. I don't know if that's happened to you guys.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, Pennhurst is definitely a place where you feel it's overwhelming just how, like the activity there. And like when you walk into that, you can just feel like it's completely different. Hillview Manor is another place where it's just so active that it's almost like you feel the energy coming off of the place. That's what I would how I would describe it. But then there's certain places where it's not as active and you don't really get that. But I'm not sensitive, but I've been in enough haunted locations that I can tell when I walk into a certain place that there's potentially activity.
Well, that's what it means to be sensitive.
But I don't see anything. I mean, I don't have discernment of spirits like some of the members of the group do. But I can tell like if a place has activity, but I don't see anything. Rarely, I have seen things, but not like the more sensitive people in the group.
How would you rate this place on a haunted place?
It was active that night for us. Yeah.
It was definitely active. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, like with the tripwire, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of times I don't really get a lot of EVPs, but I actually got some here, so I was surprised.
The apparitions that you were showing us before, we actually had some of them on Old House, so I've seen that, but I've never ever seen one with his clothes on like that. Is that normal to see that?
Yeah. In the rare cases that you do see apparitions, yeah, you can see. Sometimes you can see facial features. Sometimes you can see clothing. Yeah. It just depends on how they manifest themselves, or how the camera catches it, or how you see it. Sometimes they might just come through as a shadow or just like a blob. Yeah. It just depends.
And we take hundreds of pictures and
thousands of
pictures. Yeah, and in fact, I had one, but we had to rule it out because we just think it was something else. But looking at the picture, I thought, oh, maybe my first shadow figure, but that's not what that was.
Was that still up there?
Yeah, it was right up there. Yeah. I was just going to mention, like, I know not from the beginning, but I started getting it's like a little bit of tightness in my chest when I think something might be going on. I'm like, Mike, I don't think I have anything, but we're being. No, I know that, but we're told that we all have that potential. You just have to develop it. And so for the longest time, but now that this has been occurring, you get that feeling, as Mike said. Hillview Manor, Newcastle, Pennsylvania, amazing place. Let's go back. When we went down to the basement, there's a little bit of a temperature drop, whether in our home or wherever else. This was freezing cold that I just remember stopping and just being in the moment, like, oh my God, this is what you do on TV. I mean, freezing, and it stayed that way for a little bit. I mean, just so fascinating.
There is a question in the chat. Someone's asking, if you go out to do an investigation, do you just investigate and determine if there's ghost activity or if there's some sort of activity there, or do you also intervene in some way?
Well, there's different protocol. It depends on what we're investigating, because there's different protocol for private houses. In private houses, it's more of a surveillance operation where we don't want to stir up activity because people live there. So we just put out pieces of equipment and we see if anything interacts with it. We don't start asking anything to interact with it. It's like surveillance. But in like a historic location where people do not live, like a hospital, Hillview Manor, Pennhurst, like places like that, we would start to engage and say, can you tell us your name? And start asking questions to elicit interaction. So it depends upon the type of place that we're investigating.
And with private houses, it also would depend on what the people living there want. Sometimes they say, I want it gone. Sometimes they say, I just want validation. So, unfortunately, with human spirits, you can't really just say leave and they leave. It's more teaching them how to coexist or just to get used to what's going on. So there's not really much intervention when it comes to that. If that answers the question.
Thank you. We're also quick to say too, because those TV shows are popular, and there's some that we're happy with, than others. The ones where there's provocation and instigation and drama, we don't do that. We're professional, we're respectful, but we're not there to stir things up and be dramatic. Again, we get to lead, whether it's the people that work there or live there. That's what I'm about.
They also do that for TV ratings, so you have no real reason to do that anymore.
Because a lot of the time, most of the time, nothing is happening. You're sitting there in the dark. Most of the time, it's rare. And also a lot of things tend to happen when we're not trying to elicit activity. When we're just sitting there shooting the breeze with each other, that's when stuff happens. Like when you're not paying attention to it.
Yeah, a lot of times when we're in the moment, we try to just talk amongst ourselves, and we're more likely to get activity that way because they're trying to engage in our conversation. So I usually, even when we go to these crazy places like Universe or something like that, I don't even try to interact there. I just talk to people, and that's when I get everything. Sorry, you had a question?
Have you ever, between the three, have you ever done anything like an investigation where you got so afraid you just had to update and stop? So much.
I mean, no. I mean, there's always fear, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we never ran out, and that wouldn't really look good if we did that anyway. No, I think so. I think responders going in, and other people might be running out, but we're going in. We want to go in the basement. We love this. We find it fascinating. But you do want to have a healthy respect for it too. That's what you're getting into.
And they start a music box in a room going off, things like that.
We have music. We have part of our equipment are music boxes that have motion sensors on them, and we try to point it into a corner where no one's standing, and if it starts going off.
The music box.
Yeah,
right.
We have a music box that
will trigger. We have one too.
Just it's the one you have to crank though.
And it just starts. Yeah.
So is it regular decoration, or you bought it as a piece of paranormal?
It was my mom, and she had passed.
Wow.
And I heard it in a room, and boxes in another room about 30, 40 feet away in a dining room.
Okay.
I'm scared. It's a big scared. I was done.
That's when he ran.
Yeah.
All the things that it could be doing, I think that it's nice you're playing music for me,
Yeah.
Someone on Zoom is asking if you ever find animal spirits.
Oh, yeah. My cat personally hangs out with me at home. I've seen her out of the corner of my eye. I'd be like, seen her jump down from the couch, and what is that? There's no cat.
And my cat's also in the bed.
Yeah. I felt her
she lay down and nobody managed.
I felt little paws on my bed next to me, and I looked and there's nothing there. But she used to come up in my bed and lay with me, so.
Yeah. And then on the video, it talked about Fort Ticonderoga in New York, and all the investigators are seeing something but not capturing it because they're seeing a horse running past them. I find that fascinating. At the Grand Army of the Republic Museum in Philadelphia, beautiful place, Civil War history. They have a new location that I think to go there. I was excited because somebody was using the SLS Connect camera, and I'm like, oh, I've seen that on TV. And this was before joining the group, and I said, hey, you know, can you videotape me? So people were sensing something in one of the corners of the museum. So I went over there, and one guy was sensing that it was a soldier. So I was trying to engage, and I said, hey, I said, why don't you come over and, you know, dance with me? And I'm just moving around. And I do have a 6-minute clip, and you can see me, and then next to me, you can see a taller figure who's making movements, and then like jumping over me, disappearing, reappearing. At the beginning of the video, there's supposed to be a ghost cat there. But towards the beginning of the video, there's something low to the ground, and it's like bopping all around. So cats don't generally do that. So we were kind of thinking maybe it was a dog. I did not feel anything. It was what was being said to me. And then when I was looking at the video, it was pretty cool. Yeah. Yes, I love that you have a question.
It's actually a story of when I had a
I'd love to hear it.
So it was a few weeks after my cat passed away, and I was at my grandma's feeding her cat, and I just happened to walk across the street, and there was a white cat, the exact same color as my own cat. So I ran into the house and told her about it, and I ran back out.
Wow. So hopefully that made you feel like okay, as opposed to, because those things can be comforting. And sometimes, you know, we don't know. Sometimes we will things that are out, but that's a personal experience for you. And I know I'm an animal person, so I hope for that one day, but pretty cool.
Actually, I'm learning
Oh, it's hard. I understand that.
It's a good idea. It is a good idea.
They're special.
There's also supposedly a ghost cat at Fort Mifflin, so apparently they like forts.
Rats. Fort Maud is also.
Oh, most
that
forts.
was a place that we played. And
that's one place I need to go.
Sled
Not too far from us like that.
People would say that, but any place that there were deaths, and also it was a burial of the POWs. Right. So they're all the graves over there. So definitely.
Another group has investigated Bimpole Cemetery, you know, right at the end of
that's
I don't know if there's anywhere there, if that was before you.
It was strange because my first husband and I were walking around there, and he found people, of course, on the other side, who were probably related to surnames. I'm sure
cool.
he did ancestry.
Yeah, we were just there recently. We were doing like a World War II setup there, and we went to the cemetery first, and I just missed it. I wish we had gone up, but somebody came there and was like fixing things up and putting new either flowers or something down at, you know, one of the grave sites. It's like, oh, I would love to go talk to them and hear their story. And we were just we kind of came in at the tail end and wanted to get to the demonstration there. So, yeah, pretty fascinating. And just, you know, we love historic places. This place, I'm just excited being here now.
I do have another Zoom question. Someone's asking, what room in the museum did you get the most activity?
I would say in here.
I would say that too.
This room and the area above it. This was definitely the most active area. I don't think we had much up in the attic, which has been a lot. There's a library area.
Yeah. Up
in the attic, there wasn't much there. The tripwire lit up a couple times up there, but it was down here that it was just like nonstop.
See, and for me, and again, we might, because it's so big, and we don't always have the time for every room. So, like for me, like I wasn't out here all that much. So the glass ornament room back there, the Native American room, and then the attic, the furniture room for me.
Now, do you have a brief history of this building?
Pat would be, this is Pat, this is our lovely curator. She is a wealth knowledge.
But this is the oldest purpose-built museum in the entire state of New Jersey. It has never been anything except a museum. And it's been added on to several times, but it still is, this is all the original design that you're looking at. Probably 90% of it has not changed over the years. It makes it an appropriate home for us because we are the oldest local historical society in New Jersey. And over the years, it has been supported by the community. The first people who came here and started it in 1864, just 3 years after Vineland was founded, they brought with them a strong sense of history. And thankfully, all their diaries and journals and pictures, so we have a wealth of information, even about New England and the areas that they were from. And after the Civil War ended, and our population blossomed here in Vineland from several hundred people up to more than 5,000. It gained even more support from the veterans who moved here. That's why we have a whole separate Civil War room set up for them. But over the years, we have just tried to keep collecting anything that relates to Vineland first, then New Jersey history, and then national history. But what people don't really realize about Vineland, because they tend to dismiss all of South Jersey as simply an agricultural area, there was massive industry back then. And this town, when you said New York and Philadelphia and Trenton, you said Vineland in the same breath. And we like to think we've collected a nice variety of the artifacts and records from those folks. Should I share the Frank Andrews story?
Sure.
Okay. When I started here in 2011, one of my first volunteers came in one day and he said to me, "Who's the old man out there in the side yard?" And I said, "Who?" I jumped up and I looked out right away and there was no one in the side yard. So when he started to describe the man, he said he asked him at one point, "Where are you from?" And the man kind of nodded in the direction of where the Statue of Liberty statue is on the corner. And I said to him, I said, you know, what did he look like? So after he described him, I went in my office where I knew my volunteer had never been, and I brought out a picture of the gentleman who had served as our first curator back in the day. And I said, "Is this the man that you saw?" He was wearing a white shirt and suspenders. He had a little funky beard and a straw hat, just the way Alan had described him. And he said, "Yeah, that's him." I said, "Well, that's really cool, Alan, except he's been dead for 6 years." So I had no reason to really doubt him, because when he said the man nodded over in that corner of the property, that's where Mr. Andrews' house had been, even after this building was built. And after that, we started seeing or hearing sounds, footsteps, doors opening. And one night, one of my trustees was in the basement cleaning Mr. Andrews' bicycle that he used to ride around town. And he was the only living person in the building. When he got to the stairs and he had shut off all the lights in the back room, from the back where the bicycle was, he heard the bell go ring, 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 just like Frank was saying, "Thank you." So we like to think that he's of everything that we've done here over the years, because he hasn't thrown anything at us yet. But we know he's around. So.
There's a smaller building out on the property.
That's Vineland's first house. Built in 1862. It was the first house built on the property. They were called stipulation houses because Mr. Landis had said, in order to prove that you were interested in settling here seriously, you had to build at least one small house where your family could live. And that's how those got their start.
And then the desk that you have in the basement that belonged to
the desk in the basement, we believe, because we've seen photographs of it, that it actually came from Welch's grape juice factory. It was in the administrative offices. How it ever got down in the basement, considering it's twice the size of our doorways, we have yet to figure out. But yeah, Vineland's had a fascinating history over the years. And like I say, we've been collecting for over 150 years, going through stuff that really doesn't belong here anymore and sending it to a more appropriate home. But when you look back on what this town has been, you had the first major women's suffrage protest here in 1868. You had the first state convention for women's suffrage here in 1867. You had an anti-fashion convention here in 1874 by women who said, don't wear corsets and long skirts anymore. It's not good for you. You had Dr. Welch, who started making grape juice here in 1869. A lot went on here back in the day, and it's something that we are proud to celebrate. So if you ever have a chance to come back and take the tour on a Saturday, we're usually here.
That's right.
So.
Right there.
Do we have any other questions or?
What time did you set up? Oh, we just came in about 12 o'clock.
I mean, today
for the investigation.
Yeah, what's about 8 o'clock?
Yeah. We took the tour first, and it really is big. There's a lot of room, so that took a little bit longer. And then we ended, I think, about 12:30 or so. Probably, yeah.
All today? Am I understanding?
Oh, no, that was back in, what did you say, August?
August of last year.
August 20th of last year.
Here's another question. Are there reasons for the time stamps? Like, are they significant to you guys?
Yeah, because when we go back and listen to our reporters, like our reports are basically in our reporters. We have to go back and listen and take notes. But we call those times out so then we can say this happened at this time, et cetera, et cetera. We most of our report is a timeline of the entire night of significant events throughout the entire night. Exactly what time that they happened.
And also, if say somebody heard like a voice at like 9:30, and then somebody else on a different team on a different floor at the same time might have had a door closed at the same time. Maybe they might have been. It'd be interesting that they correlated, maybe they didn't. So if there's anything that could correlate, we would know, hey, at this time this person got a headache at the same time that you heard a voice, So it's also for a correlation and to see if anything might come together. If possible.
I know one of the videos you said like you said I want to move, so I didn't know if it mattered.
Which one was that?
Someone
It's
called out,
possible.
I think Katie called out the time for you.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that could come up with, like, if we have something in our hand, and then somebody can say that, and then we can
Yeah.
kind of make up for that and give the time. Even when we're doing something for fun, or with a public investigation, we just like go on autopilot and start, because we're so used to doing reports, we'll just start giving out the time, even though it's informal, it's not necessary. A good question, though.
All right, I think we are about good. So I want to say thank you all so very much for coming, and we are honored to have all of you here.
Yeah, you're welcome for coming. If you want, you can also come up here and look at any of the equipment that we have. We have a case set up if you're interested in the equipment.
We have all kinds of great info up here. If you want to come take a look. We also at the back table are amazing curator, also an author who has written several books, and we have some of her ones on both stories and Washington, New Jersey, back here on the table that are some other in Indiana. Other things. And please come back and see us. And you follow all of our social media. We have events coming up. We have a talk. We have scientific and we work hand in hand. So we will talk up there on that. That's a party around Mother's Day. See all the faces again and come back and it's incredible. Yeah, I'm here often and I see new things and so again, thank you all for joining us and check all this stuff out. Thank you. And thank you for joining us on Zoom.
Oh my God.